with froze. Cold night in the winter, how it goes. Sorry that I fall away sometimes. Sorry that I fall away sometimes.
Guys, Nate here. We're down at Iron Gym today. We are going to shoot chest, shoulders, and triceps. So this is our push day number 2. So, you know, with this push day, we're gonna do a little bit more higher volume, more pump stuff. Not necessarily progressive overload. We do that in the first push day. So the second push day is a little bit more higher volume, more like a pump day. So faster pace, a lot of lateral raises, intensifiers, stuff to really get the blood in the muscle. So you'll see us sort of, you know, get started with chest, then move on to delts, and then move on to triceps. And then the other push day that we do, we usually start with delts. So we get a little rotation in there. So, you know, hopefully it goes good today.
The end, got to end it all on the weekend. Sorry that I feel that way sometimes. Sorry that I feel that way sometimes. Oh, oh, yeah. You don't really wanna know me. Hanging in the corner with a nosebleed. High on whatever they sold me. That's the old me, yeah. 6 years later trying to find me. Still trying to figure out the line piece. Looking for the love inside.
Alright guys, what's going on? So today we got chest day on deck. We're also going to do some delts and some tris. So I guess you'd consider that a push day. So right now, first exercise we did was incline barbell bench. You know, pretty traditional. Just sort of pyramid up in weight. Get comfortable. Take as much time as you want. Just get warm. Less injury that way. Usually I would do a fly prior to the incline bench just to warm up, but someone was on that. So you sort of improvise in a busy gym. So we slowly getting stronger on that. So I think we did 3 plates and a 25 each side for 8 with a little bit of help on the end. So slowly trying to get stronger and back to what my strength was the last off season. So hopefully we'll get to 4 plates soon. And then, so yeah, next we're gonna move on to hammer strength flat press. Its chest is pretty basic. I mean, the only thing I'll say is, you know, really just focus on the negative, get a nice stretch out of there and good contraction. That's why we'll move on to the hammer strength next. It's a flat press, so we get a little bit flat. And also there's a really great contraction on that piece. So sort of why I chose that. It's a little bit easier to squeeze, get a good contraction. Take the shoulders and the triceps out of it, as a lot of people have problems concentrating on their chest. So that way we'll be able to take that secondary muscles out of that.
You know I got the strap, but while I push the I do the dash, I won't wait to the bag, boy, you know I push the gas.
Okay, my timing is critical. Then on my rhyming is pivotal. Homie, the dash is digital, gas residual. Fire and smoke like I'm leading a ritual. You bet my cash is long. I hit the gas, I'm gone. Riding my wave. I've been stuck in my zone. I bet I blast them all. Sliding on faith. I've been out finding my ways. Grinding for days. I've been out shining the hate. All of y'all wanted for praise. Stuck in a phase. Let it and turn it ablaze. Yeah, homie, you don't want no race. Nah, better to stick to your place. Yeah, want it all, I gotta taste. You push on the pedal, now I gotta skate. Yeah, all I ever know. Put me on this throne.
Right, so next we did the machine fly. I really like that. It's, I think, a Lifetime Fitness or Hammer Strength, but it hits really nice. But one thing to note there is, you know, a lot of people will do this on the fly. We want a little bit more, go a little lighter, and keep your arms a little bit more straighter. And then you'll feel your chest contracting. So you come back nice and slow, get a nice stretch in the chest. And when you come forward, hands are forward, and you see my chest is contracting. So right now my chest is fully contracted, like right here, right? So I can almost barely touch them together because now my chest is fully contracted. Here it's much harder to get that same full contraction. You can still contract, but it's not nice, not as full. Like the whole pec is full and contracted when you come like this. So I can barely touch my hands together because my chest is nice and squeezed. So the biggest take home with chest is, you know, making sure that your chest is get connected. You're taking out the delts, the triceps. Sometimes you'll see my scapula is contracted to bring those shoulders back, to sit back. So when you press, your shoulders are back here, so they're not getting activated. And then also too, like use little techniques. So one technique I use on the barbell bench is to try to push my hands together. So when I push my hands together, you'll see I demonstrate here. You kick these two, when I go push together, my chest contracts. So by pushing this together. So you're doing the same thing with a bar. So what I would do also too is don't be afraid to use the Smith machine, and you can really practice on that a little better because you're not using all the stabilizations. So, you know, the biggest thing is a lot of people are like, oh, I can bench press 315, but I don't have a big chest. Well, that's because the delts and the triceps, you're just moving it. So in bodybuilding and trying to build muscle, we don't want to just move the weight. We want to get the most out of the movement and train the muscle. So if we're training chest, all I want to do is train chest. I don't want to get the delts going and the triceps going. Yes, it'll occur, but how can we minimize that to the maximum degree? So using little techniques like that, sometimes going a little lighter and relearning the mechanics of the movement, and then progressively overloading with that new form is some stuff we have to do. All right, so next we moved on to delts. So I usually start with lateral raises with dumbbells. What I'll usually do is start with, say, 20-pound dumbbells, do 20 reps, and go up like 5 pounds each time. 20 reps, 20 reps, 20 reps. And then when I find the really hard 20 reps, I'll do 2 sets of that so I'll do 20 reps and then 10 partials. So what's that gonna do is like create even more blood flow into the delts. For me, I really believe with shoulders, a lot of volume, a lot of high reps, a lot of intensifiers. It's a smaller muscle group, so it can take a beating, and it also recovers pretty quick, I find. So really, you know, maximizing all your efforts on shoulders. You'll see we'll do a little bit more intensifiers there, and then usually one pressing movement. But those partials really just get the last bit of blood flow in there and just get you a little bit beyond failure. And you go like really strict and just to the side. So whereas the partials, you want to lead with the elbow and keep it a little bit in front, not so much out here. You don't want to get the traps too involved and the rear delts. A little bit more, mostly side delt and a little bit of front delt. So we're doing like a curl, leading with the elbows, not leading with the fists, and then sort of having the thumbs point down a little bit as we come up. So this, you can see, is contracting the delt right here, just this movement. Whereas opposed to this, it's not quite as a good contraction. It's more like rear delt in your traps. Whereas this, I don't even have a weight and I can feel it contracting.
I'm gonna come with a hook right. Hook right. This what the angles look like. Well, stood high, taking the view when it look right. And oh, it's the good life, whipping the smoke when I cook like. Look left, look right, yeah, come with a hook right. Hook right, make all the man them look twice. I'm way up, stood high, but I've been in the field like Suge Knight. And they know this took time. This what a legacy look like. This what a
to Smith shoulder press, and I won't lie, there wasn't a ton of weight we were using. My shoulders were like super fried, super pumped, so I really couldn't move a whole lot of weight. They're pretty smoked right now. Also, I'm still like gaining weight, as I said on my last YouTube video, so my pumps right now are like ridiculous, like almost like detrimental to my training. So like right now it's like I can't even, in the off season I usually do 3 plates, and I probably could have if I was fresh on that Smith shoulder press, but like the pumps are just like debilitating right now. So just doing what I can to keep it going, and then so we'll finish up here and then we'll move on to triceps. triceps next. I did forget to say, so after we did the side raises, we did something, I just call it a waterfall. I don't know the name for it, but honestly, I'll give Brett Welkin a shout out. I saw him doing it. So you'll see we do pretty light dumbbells. I think I use 15-pound dumbbells. And you start like here, and I did 5 while holding this side, 5, 5, and then 4, and then keep going down, 3, 2, 1. And then on the last one, I just pump out as much as I can. Like I said, not necessarily keeping track, but just pushing as much as I can until failure, until I can't go. So the pump was ridiculous, and that's why when we went on to the Smith machine shoulder press, I really couldn't do much weight because at that point my shoulders are fried and really couldn't go much in weight. So for triceps, I always personally start with like a cable push down. They just really connect really well. I get a crazy pump on my triceps, and it's a good way to mitigate any kind of elbow issues if you go to like say a heavy skull crushers or close grip bench press for triceps. So I would always say if you're going to do those movements, start with a cable push down to get the triceps and the elbows warmed up first, and then go on to those like heavy compound tricep movements. So yeah, we did cable push downs, we did reverse grip. I really like those for like that inside tricep head, the meaty part. You just can come out a little bit and really feel it on the contraction, that inner tricep head. So we did those, and then we finished with like a cluster set. So we did like 10, then rest for like 10 seconds, 10, rest for 10 seconds. And then you'll see I switched my grip just because I couldn't really go with the inside grip anymore. So just going to failure, like I said before, we're just sort of obliterating the tricep and just going for a nasty pump, and that's sort of where we finished there. So for our last movement, we did overhead cable like skull crushers. So that was pretty good. We, with those, I really want to get the nice stretch all the way back, get some more blood flow in the tricep, and then really contract. And then towards the end, we did a little bit more like a burnout set, higher repetition, just really get the blood in there, get a good pump. And yeah, I mean, honestly for triceps, I really stick to a lot of cable stuff. Not a whole lot of skull crushers and close grip bench. For me, at my point in my career, I have pretty good triceps. I really like the cables. I think it builds more of a rounder tricep. So like the front double bicep, the back double bicep, you got a good hang, and that most muscular, it gets that good pop to it. So that's sort of what I'm going for on my tricep development. And here's a note too is, a lot of guys that you're listening to have been doing this for many years, and what they're doing right now currently isn't necessarily, what they've been doing to get to that point. So for myself, my first 5 years, I did a lot of easy bar, weighted skull crushers, a lot of close grip bench. So a lot of those heavy compound movements that they sort of say is a tricep mass builder. I did for the first 5 years of my bodybuilding, and I deadlifted the first 5 years of my bodybuilding, which now I don't do, So a lot of guys will tell you what they're doing, and then younger guys will sort of take that and use that, but they don't really touch base that there was stuff they did before to get to that point, and their training evolves. So just remember that. So as you're listening to YouTube, Instagram, that kind of stuff, just remember someone that's probably an IFBB pro, they might not be training exactly the same way they were when they started, and to get to that point, so definitely I would say if you're younger, do a lot of deadlifts, do a lot of squats, concentrate on form, range of motion, do the heavy skull crushers, that kind of stuff. And then, once you get to a certain development where you're, a pretty big guy, a super heavyweight, a heavyweight on the open stage, and pretty well developed, then you can sort of start changing your stuff around a little bit, and you figure out what works for you.